Morning, bonjour, please. Wherever she wants. Morning, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us on the first panel of the day after a wonderful keynote speech and His Excellency's comments. I'm joined here by 5 wonderful panelists who will be talking to us and to you about insights of the GCC in France and their strategies and how they're looking at bringing forward and strengthening this relationship. We have a very short period of time, so we're going to jump right into it. And I'm going to start with Frank. What are your key implementation strategies in the GCC, and how do they apply to the UAE, and how do they apply to the broader GCC from a French perspective?
Okay, thank you for this question, Ali. First, I would like to say, to tell you that we support for now 12 years 300 companies from France located in UAE. So we have a very great experience of this implementation of a French structure in Dubai. First, I would like to tell you that we can say that we have 5 different strategies to implement your product or your services in Dubai. The first one, of course, you can stay in France and spread your product from the service export of your company. Of course, each year you have to go to the events, National Convention Center, for example, in Dubai, and to promote your new product. The second stage is to find a distributor. On the one hand, it will introduce you deeply in the market. But on the other hand, he has fees, your margin will be reduced, and your price will not be so competitive. So stage 2, to dynamize your sale, you can add, like we call it a VIE. VIE. It means a sale representative to dynamize your sale with your distributor. To find a VIE, I advise you to be in touch with Business France to find a VIE. Stage 4, you can set up your own company in Dubai because you are already deeply involved in the market. Of course, because you don't have any distributor, you will reduce your price, you will increase your margin, and you will be more competitive. Just to remind you a few things about a company in Dubai. We are talking about a company where you have 100% of the shares. We are talking in a place where now since 2025, you have a corporate tax of 9%. And the VAT standard rate of 5%. And also, keep in mind that your accounting will be in IFRS standard, means international standard. Okay? So things will be very easy. And from our experience, we say that to be mature, your company needs minimum 6 months. Okay? And now I just want to talk about the stage 6. Some company, when they come in Dubai, they immediately buy some company already in the market. For example, I'll just give you an example. We had a company in the advertising, which is very well known in France. To introduce their services in UAE, they bought immediately 5 companies in Dubai for 15 years of experience. And they asked us, please, 5 companies specialized in marketing in Dubai with a lot of clients. So immediately the first day they started, they have 15 years of experience and already a very good portfolio of clients. So I just summarize the 5 different strategies. And of course, if you want to go ahead, we are available. You can reach us on LinkedIn. Just a lot of things. Between UAE and France, there is a specific agreement of taxation. If you have paid 9% of corporate tax in Dubai, there is a principle of non-double taxation. Of course, if you want more information, you are at the best place.
Well, that makes it more interesting, I believe, for all of our participants. And Sosi, you're also approached by French companies who are interested in coming to the GCC, looking at finance. What is that perspective like?
So absolutely, because of this economic collaboration, so there's a lot of focus on French companies coming into the...
And no double taxation.
No double taxation. I think what I want to say is that when you decide to do business in the GCC, it's very important that you decide, which bank is going to be helping you to achieve those goals. And that's where FAB comes in. And why, I think one of the questions, of course, there are multiple banks in the market, but it's very important that you choose wisely, because I know that there will be different kinds of companies coming, some multinationals who already been there. We, of course, know them and support them in big projects. But also there are the medium-sized companies. There are small or SMEs and people who are starting or want to establish their setups. And that is important to consider a bank that is really the biggest there in the region, and a bank that is able to give the whole suite of capabilities, whether you're a top multinational or where you're, an SME or an MME company. So I think that is important. And another thought is, which is something I do in my work, is that try to understand what is the strategy of the company coming. Are they looking to, some of them start in the UAE and expand into the region. So you want a bank that understands the region so well, is really connected, really committed to that market, and really understands the ins and outs. And of course, the full capabilities being there. So it's crucial for whoever wanting to come to really do that job. So that's what we're here. I think what is really also differentiator for us is that we have an office here as well. And our team here is sitting with us, and we have an office. We're looking to expand our presence here, which makes even that collaboration even better.
Wonderful. But so looking into the GCC, what would make it enticing? And Khalifa, what are if you could share your insights on, now that we found the money and we found how to do it, what are the key attractive elements in the GCC that our French audience would be interested in having and knowing?
First of all, I would like to thank the business here for having us today. It is an amazing conference. This is my second time here, and every year is getting better and better. So thank you very much, Business France, for having us today. Second thing, to talk about GCC, I think it's now GCC is becoming like a global hub for opportunities. And GCC have now, everyone knows we have one of the best location and strong economy. Everyone knows that maybe 80% from our income, it's from oil and gas. And also we are trying to diversify our income. And also it's politically significant. With everything happening today, it's still stable and safe and trusted countries to invest in. So if you are talking about GCC and why GCC, also we have like different jurisdiction. I don't think there is a lot of countries, they are trying to give the investors options to choose their laws. So as an example, if you go to Dubai.
Options to choose their laws?
Yes, if you go, like I'm talking about, if you are going to jurisdiction, if you go to DIFC, you can use the common law. ADGM, you can use the common law. And those laws, it's like very familiar for the foreign investors. So if you can choose your local, like civil law, like similar to the French, let's say, and you can choose the common law, that it's preferred for a lot of investors. And let's go to Qatar. Let's say if you want to go to Qatar, you can see there is like established a Qatar International Court. It's not easy to go to any countries and to have like different jurisdiction. If you go to, let's say, Saudi today, they are developing their laws and they have also a new arbitration law. So all the GCC countries, they are updating their laws to make their laws more attractive. But before 20, 25 years, we were like marketing our laws. But today you can see most of the companies, they are already, their headquarters, it's in the GCC already. So it's the story, it's it's very successful. And it's not only about good returns. No, people there, they are working really hard to make it really, they are believing in change and to have a good culture, you know. Let's talk about, let's say, a very small story about football, let's say. You can see before, a lot of Emiratis, they are, or let's say Manchester City, it was owned by English people, and then it was owned by family from Emirates, royal family, and then also you have Qatar with PSG, they invest a lot, and they are getting both of those GCC countries are owned by Qatar or Emirates, they get the Champions League. And then if you go also to the football...
But PSG is doing better.
But the story is, it's not about money, it's about talent, experience. If you bring the best experience to the countries, to GCC countries, of course you will get better experience. And this experience we are trying to move it everywhere and to deliver it everywhere. You can see now the Russian League, Saudi football. Who can, let's say, imagine that Ronaldo is going to play in Saudi football? But today you can see most of the global football players, they would like to have the opportunity to work there or to play there. So life has changed and GCC countries has changed. It's not about just marketing our laws. It's a very gold opportunities for the companies to grow in the GCC. So it's a lot of change happened, a lot of flexibility happened in our GCC countries, and also Kuwait. Kuwait established Kadiba in 2013, giving the exception for the foreign companies to open 100% up to 100% ownership. Now Kuwait, we have Google Cloud investing 100%. We have Boeing, we have Microsoft, we have more than 100 global companies, they are investing in Kuwait, and they are hiring Kuwaiti people to work with them. So why? Because we have a very good environment, good infrastructure, and also we have a lot of flexibility in law. So when you're updating your laws, it's not enough because you need to have a very good environment. And again, why? Because also we have avoid taxation or sometimes tax-free, and also we have like a lot of incentives and custom duties, offering lands, because a lot of big companies, they are trying to find a good opportunity and also more flexibility. I think GCC countries, they are doing really good. They update their laws and they are making a very successful stories for the foreign companies, and also they are acquiring a lot of foreign companies and investing in all the sectors to make to compete, let's say the most important, let's say, economies worldwide.
And Denis, from a French perspective, so how can you incentivize and give us some insight on the attractiveness of France for GCC companies and French companies to the GCC?
Yeah, my business is to develop more the business between France and GCC. This is what we are trying to do, and we have a strong push from a political perspective in France, as you heard Mr. Lombard, our minister. Just a few words, if you allow me, on BPI and what we are doing in the region also. BPI is Assurance Export, is the French EC Export Credit Agency. We are located within the group BPI France, and we manage a full range of instruments in order to support export from France to different regions in the world, and more specifically in the GCC state. Just to show you the picture, we issue an average of 20 billion guarantees per year. It's directly backed by the French state, and we have a portfolio around 70 to 80 billion euros generally. So it's a quite a huge amount. In GCC, just to give you a perspective, we have a historic presence. If GCC states only represent 10% of the number of our covers, it represents around 25% of the amount we cover in our portfolio. It means what's quite huge. It's just to underline that this region is a priority for French exporters and for my institution also, and the French authorities. The business will develop, and what we cover, we support the business, of course, not only with the state, but also with SOEs. This afternoon, I have got a call with a representative of Saudi electricity company, for example, that we are trying to doing business and so on. But we support also big family business and big private holding in the region. So we have just a limit in the region. It's an exception. We cannot support anymore since 2023 transaction related to oil and gas sector. It means that on energy we only focus on electricity and renewables. It's forbidden by the law. This one we are not able to do so.
So there's a cap?
It's not a cap, it's a ban. It's a ban. We cannot support all production, all oil and gas activities, but petrochemical, safety, or if there is also an exception, if you have a transaction, for example, a steam which replace, which is related to, for example, a thermal power plant, which was fueled by heavy fuel and replaced by gas fuel. This is something that we can support because it improves the negative balance, the sustainability. This is something that we can do. So we have a ban, but we have some exception that we can support. Of course, on hydrogen, etc., CCUS, we are able to do so, and we know that there are huge projects in the GCC states in this field, so we can intervene. In terms of attractiveness, I don't come back on this point because the minister told it enough this morning, and I think that I will not try to do it better than him. I will not be able, of course. Maybe I can explain how we can support what are our tools, or maybe later.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so we have a few tools to support the business between the GCC region and generally abroad, overseas, and the French companies. The first one, with the most massive tool, is the buyer credit. This guarantee allows for the mobilization of banking financing for big projects over a long maturity period for 3 years. From 3 years to 22 years, it depends on the sector. And what is the value of this, the added value of this tool is first you have a more competitive financing in terms of loan because the ICE cover the banking against the default of the borrower. And secondly, even it make it possible because generally some banks are reluctant to engage themselves on a huge and long transaction if they have not the support of ECS. So this is I should say the core of our business and the core of mission. In this perspective, in the region, for example, we have financed the Metro of Dubai, and we are structuring the tramway in KSA, in the tramway for AlUla. We are structuring the financing with the Saudi MOF and the Royal Commission of AlUla. So this is a massive tool we have. Just a few words on the structure of the product. We cover 80% of 85% of the commercial contract, and this financing, this quota is we cover it by 95% because we let 5% of risk to our bank friends in order to make them responsible. So this is it's a huge and very efficient. And I remember just a point related to the excellent former presentation. Former EPCs contractors are also eligible to our guarantee under the condition they have enough French sourcing in their project, either in the GCC state, either in third countries, in Africa or elsewhere.
Okay, well, you mentioned Saudi Arabia, and Said, I wanted your insight on where can France and the GCC, or and specifically Saudi Arabia, grow together in tech, venture, and innovation?
Well, I think there is a lot of avenues of growing. Just before shedding light on your question, I would like to pick up where Khalifa was discussing on how flexible the GCC governments are in their policies, procedures, laws, investments. And I heard it personally from His Excellency Minister Khaled Al-Faleh, Minister of Investment, on multiple occasions in meetings with foreign investors, that I mean, the whole ministry is brand new. The whole ecosystem is new. So they're very open to suggestions, amendments, and flexible to make it as tempting as possible for foreign investors to come. You know, the GCC countries are not changing in the core, but they're very flexible to change and amending their laws and amending their approach. The football, you know, examples with Saudi Newcastle investment as well. They reached into a championship since a very long time. They're not taking their beliefs and vision and changing their investments. No, they're collaborating, they're understanding and adopting to what's best practice. Now, going back to French-Saudi potential, there is a long historic relation between Saudi and France on multiple, multiple fronts where it comes to infrastructure, mobility, energy, and many more. France excels in technology, excels in a lot of their products and services, and stays a sweetheart summer spot for a lot of the GCC families. So I think the avenue there is growing exponentially. We saw a big delegation from Saudi in VivaTech just recently with a strong representation and interest in the French ecosystem. And we will be seeing, I mean, part of my visit, we held a bit of a workshop for 27 French companies as part of Business France booster program organized by Etienne. I'm not sure if he's here, which they will be visiting Saudi in November. And this is, I think, the third or fourth year they do that. And I think we will keep seeing more and more of those collaborations. Going back to change, I just want to mention something as a person that was born in Saudi, grew up in Saudi, but left it for probably 15 years and came back in 2022. What really impressed me in the new Saudi Arabia is not the change, it's the acceptance of change. You can force people to change, but you cannot force them to accept it. With a nation that is 70% under 35, it's very promising what they could provide, and the changes we're witnessing today is, you know, an opening for a very bright future.
Well, that's very insightful, especially for Saudi Arabia. And that also, do you believe, applies to the broader GCC?
Well, look, I don't like to generalize. So no, anyway, when you say GCC, each country is unique in its perspective. I mean, if we take Dubai is not UAE and UAE is not Dubai anyway. Dubai is a unique case globally.
From an investment perspective,
From an investment perspective, Saudi Arabia is different in, firstly, the ticket price to enter the market. The contracts we'll be looking at, the cash flow that you will require, and a lot of the facilitation you will require. I mean, the brightest two clear pathways in the GCC are Saudi and UAE for multiple purposes, but the discussion now is not only on local markets, it's what gives you more global reach. With UAE and Saudi Arabia, with the different free zones and economic zones, they're providing a lot of entry points to Africa, to Europe, to the wider Asia, and this is where they're becoming a global hub, really, not just a local consumer market.
So because of these distinctions, Frank, do you think that it's important to have like a groundwork done before getting some information, before many of the potential French companies here would be interested in going to the GCC?
So first, I would like to say I'm in Dubai for now 13 years, and it's not the same country. It changed a lot in a very good way. So it means that when you are working in Dubai, you need to have access to information. Otherwise, you will lose a lot of opportunities. As Khalifa said, there is a lot of different sections in the country. You have a lot of different free zones, and some of them are specific. If you work, for example, in the financial industry, it will be wise to be located in DIC or ADGM, because here you will find a specific ecosystem which will dynamize your business. If you work in the import-export, you have to set up at Jebel Ali, and etc., etc. So, of course, you need to have access to information and to be very, very flexible because the change are coming very, very, very fast. So always you have to be kept updated.
And how do you help entice companies to come to, do you have to go after French companies or is there already a large request from French companies to come to the GCC?
Yes.
Or was it like you had to entice them and now you have to beat them with a stick? Or
no. We have always a demand for new company in Dubai. Most of our clients are specialized in the engineering companies, also IT. We have a lot of French companies specialized in IT system because there's a very, very big demand. And also in the green energy, okay? So the demand is always growing.
But Sosi, are you seeing like you had more institutional companies and now IT, or what is the approach? What kind of?
We see broad range, of course, and we're quite equipped to handle. So the way we're divided is for example, I look at mostly the multinational clients through our network, and but we have a dedicated team looking after the startups and techs and ITs, etc. So we're quite industry focused to be able to give the right sort of expertise to the type of the clients that we're dealing with. For example, the multinationals we're very familiar. For example, when he's talking about ECA project financing, most of the multinational companies that come, French ones that come to the region. Big, investments in renewables, power generation. So we have appetite because it's our market to give long-term projects. Sometimes we do collaborate with CAs. And we try to support the project because for us as well, renewable is on the top of our agenda. We are the bank that has the biggest commitment to sustainability, to supporting sustainable finance. So within the entire banking sector, our commitment is half of all of that. So it's $150 billion. So as a bank, we are committed to that. So when there are projects like that within renewable, we are very excited to be supporting them. And that's not only in the UAE. That's also in KSA, absolutely. KSA being, when we look at our clients, definitely UAE, KSA take up the biggest share. But I have to say, of course, Oman and Kuwait and Bahrain have are coming up also with projects, but probably not the same intensity and size. But we see them as well, and we support them. So that world for us, we're very familiar. We're very comfortable to support. But also when it comes to AI and technology, because also UAE and the region is really investing in that. And if you see what, if you see our, for example, FAB, if you check FAB's commitment into innovation digital, you will see that this is a really key corridor or key sector that we focus. And it's driven also by UAE's vision. The recent investment in AI, the G42 Microsoft collaboration. And just to give you a bit of insight, within FAB, we have now our own co-pilot, and that's enrolled for all of the employees. So that's huge. When it comes top down, this is the level of innovation FAB is driving, and hence it's very normal for us also to support companies that are investing in AI and technology, because we understand that and we embrace it and we want to push for it.
So you're able to facilitate for smaller companies as well, like French unicorns or anything that's interested in this technology, because I believe that yes, there's a lot of institutional companies that would be in multinationals that would look at the Gulf region, but startups, unicorns, those who might not have the insight or access to information. And I pose this to all of you. Do you think that there is that opportunity for them to come to the Gulf?
I think that absolutely, and I think that's why I said at the beginning, it's very important that they choose right. They go to the banks that is able to give them, the right information. They're able to be partner with them, and also has this strategic view of growth, of being their partner in the region. Because these companies come, yes, into UAE, but then they might eye different markets, or they'll be in KSA, they want to eye Kuwait or Bahrain, etc. You want a bank that is able to serve them across the region. And hence, creating that partnership from the start is important. So, of course, I encourage, and we work very closely with CCI France. We're members, actually. We work closely with CABS. We partner with Business France. Absolutely, we're here to tell you that. So absolutely.
Khalifa, so is it a conducive legal environment also for startups that have maybe that they're startups, so they're starting off with the business, with the venture, going to a new country? How does that? I mean, do you think the GCC is a?
So as a tier one firm in Kuwait, so we are receiving a lot of, let's say, opportunity from international clients, especially, let's say, France. Surprised, it's a lot of startup French business, they are trying to enter into the MENA region or the Gulf countries. And we are trying to help them to enter it in a very good way, because with our experience, to guide them to see what's the best structure for them and legal framework to make their work easier and better. So we are receiving a lot of opportunities from a lot of companies, French companies. They are trying to work in Kuwait and Saudi and Dubai and everywhere. And also there is a lot of businessmen in Kuwait. They are trying to acquire a lot of small companies, startup companies here in France, because they have a very good solution. So there is a lot of opportunities between, let's say, Kuwait, France, and French companies. And I think the companies, they are not investing now in GCC. They are missing a very big opportunities. So the environment is ready to receive them. And I think there is a lot of ways to let them work in GCC countries in a very good way. And with the right advice, they can grow very fast. So yes, to answer you, a lot of French companies, they are investing now in Kuwait. And also there is a lot of projects in Kuwait handling by a lot of French big companies. They are working in railway and energy and construction and different projects they are handling by French companies, not only in Kuwait. In Saudi and Qatar, you can see maybe a lot of them also from those companies, but I think the relation is really strong, and they are already working really good in Kuwait and GCC countries.
Saeed, I see you nodding and agreeing. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that? I see you nodding and agreeing. And do you think that's also, I mean, obviously you stated, it is the same case in Saudi Arabia.
Actually, indeed. And, you know, we were talking about regional and global reachability, and this is what Saudi and UAE is specializing and offering a lot of those businesses. But just to imagine the magnitude of the Saudi opportunity, you have $7 trillion worth of projects happening by 2030. I know a lot of people doubt this number, but just to clarify, the $7 trillion is the size of the projects. The government is not paying $7 trillion. The government is putting the seed money to empower $7 trillion worth of projects, mainly done partially by the government, by the private sector, by the foreign direct investments, PPPs, BOTs, and opening the wall to be part of this journey. And on top of all of that, you have the Asia Cup 2027, you have the World Cup 2034, and you have the World Expo 2030. So, and we are in a stage where we're looking at post-Vision 2030, with the World Cup in 2034, but also a lot of the KPIs for Vision 2030 have been accomplished. A lot of them have been updated, and you know, the discussion today is what's in 2040, 2050, and beyond.
And Frank, do you think there is a strategy beyond 2040 for growing French businesses in the?
Yes, for sure, a lot. Okay, but as I told you, things are changing very fast. So for the opportunity,
but you're making sure everyone's keeping up.
Yes, at least I would like to say that for all the company who want to go to the market in CCG, they need to have a very good information before. And sometimes I notice that there is a lack of information. I'm talking about étude de marché, market study. I'm talking about a lot of different aspects. You need to be very well prepared, okay? And of course, we can talking about étude de marché, but we can also talk about intelligence économique. I will say in French, because l'intelligence économique n'est pas réservée aux grandes sociétés seulement. Elle est accessible également aux SME et elle doit être utilisée. So, the most you are prepared, the most you will grow very fast.
Well, I'm sure he does a lot of market research.
Yeah, we share definitively the statement done by Frank, of course, because we have a stronger network between business friends, French private actors such as Frank and so on in the region, in all the region. And what we say is that we have huge opportunities, not only for the big companies, not only for the big French companies, but also for mid-cap and SMEs, because there's a strong demand in the GCC region also for the SMEs and mid-cap knowledge in specific scopes when they have added value in terms of technology, etc. So that's why we are also have a speech, a storytelling, saying that we need to support also IT, startup, etc., to develop themselves, because they cannot stay only in the French hexagon. They have to think abroad, and some startup and mid-cap understand this point. For example, we have Mistral Agence IA, which is thinking about implementing office and develop business in GCC, because there is a huge demand in all the countries of GCC in terms of IA. So this is something that we have support in terms of financing and in terms of speech too.
Which is significantly, I mean, impressive, because usually, historically, when companies, French, would want to expand, they would look at the rest of Europe, or they would look at, you know, the Americas, or maybe Eastern Asia. So it's quite refreshing to hear that now they're looking at the GCC for them. It is an area where they would want to go.
Well, you know, you are in France, so we are in France, so you have big companies already implementing and doing business in the region. But what is important now, since I should say a few years, is that you have a political speech. As we are in French, you know, the speech or the public authority remains very important. So there is a strong signal, and you heard the minister this morning, to the French companies, to the French actors, to go straight to the GCC, because it's a relay of growth, very, very important. There is a lot of competition, of course. Everybody wants to go there. That's true.
Which is very good.
And this is very good. I don't complain. So it is challenging, and as it is challenging, it's more exciting.
But there is the capacity to welcome them all, which is what is interesting. And then there is that internal competition once they arrive. I mean, it is no longer now you just bring your stuff and you can sell it and everyone's going to buy it. No, there is real competition. There is a savoir, there's a savoir-faire, and there's a connaissance, or a recognition from the consumer market of the products. They now do have access to everything from all over the world. So the competition is tougher for the French companies. So how can you help, I mean, how can we all here on this platform help them to distinguish their products? Yes. Oh, please. Frank.
Okay. The competition will always exist, okay? But maybe it will be important to know how they see us. So I talked to a chairman, and he told me, if you need something very cheap and very fast to be built, ask a Chinese engineer. If you want something very strong, very qualitative, call a German engineer. But if you want something which it doesn't exist, call a French engineer. So you know how they see us. So competition, it will always exist. But on some topics, we can make the difference. And we have to go in this market and, of course, to be very flexible, but always to keep the way we are thinking, the way we are working. And this is sometimes what they like and what they are expecting.
I think it's very interesting what you said, because I mean, when there is a lot of competition, everybody comes to the bank to lower the pricing, so we take the hit. But you know, I can see from at least the clients that I look after in the multinational space, yes, there is competition for sure, especially big projects, and there's a lot. I mean, in the region you have the Chinese, the Koreans, the French, etc. I think everyone is trying to find their competitive advantage. So some of them, yes, work on bringing the added value, the expertise, the technical expertise. And we find it a lot, for example, in the renewables, coming with the technical expertise. But of course, there are, I'm sure there are other ways. People know, but they have to find it, because it is absolutely a market everybody wants to be in. But having said that, and I agree with also the team, is the sense that there is a flexibility, there is openness, you know, for ideas and trying new things. And also you have a banking sector that has developed so much in the past 10 years, you know, in line with the growth of the other sectors of the economy. You know, you're talking now with powerhouses. So now I think it's kind of combination. If I think all of us will fill the blanks in a way or another, and it will be good to get from all of us something, some expertise to make it work.
Well, I think we have a full, complete panel here. If anyone is interested in going to the GCC, I mean, you've got it, you know, from the ground up. So
just to add here, I think France or French products and services is associated with quality and elegance. And I think this is what they should stick to. So it's a very competitive market, yes, but I think each product or service provider, they need to stick to what their legacy is, and not try to become China, not try to become other places. And, you know, I think the French products and services is more quality driven. I don't think it can be price driven, and people understand that. As long as they maintain that image, that quality and elegance, I think they'll always have an opportunity in the market.
Elegance. Well, on that note, I think I would like to thank you all for sharing your thoughts and insights. And thank you.